Do you ever find yourself constantly tweaking your outfits and obsessing over every little detail and still feeling like it's never quite right? You might be dealing with perfectionism in your style, and it's probably preventing you from loving how you look and feel when you get dressed. Today I want to talk about perfectionism and style and kind of give you an overview of what it actually looks like when you have perfectionist tendencies and how they show up in your wardrobe. And more importantly, I want to give you some steps for how to begin to overcome it. First of all, let's define perfectionism. Perfectionism as it pertains to wardrobes and style and getting dressed is really a feeling that it's never quite right. There are lots of ways that this shows up, and I will continue in future videos to go deeper into kind of all the ways it shows up and what you can do to overcome them, because I have come to understand that one of the most significant ways that our style suffers and the way that we struggle when it's time to get dressed is around perfectionism. I know this from over 20 years in closets and fitting rooms and working one-on-one with clients in my signature program, Style Therapy. And I have really, truly embraced the idea that if I can help shed some light on perfectionism, because it's so often a hidden thing that's running in the background, and women regularly tell me, I've never thought of myself as a perfectionist. I don't actually want everything to be perfect. And I think that's the biggest myth, that perfectionists have this idea that they want everything to be perfect, and that isn't exactly accurate. What's more accurate is that they really fear not being perfect. They're not so much, and I speak from my own personal experience as a perfectionist, not so much are we worried about actually getting it perfect. We're just afraid to not have it be perfect. We're afraid to show the flaw of the fact that we don't exactly know how to do it, or we haven't really gotten to a place where it's automatic for us to look and feel incredible and put together every time we get dressed. Perfectionists tend to hold themselves to incredibly high standards, not because they actually believe that they can achieve perfection, but they believe that if they wait long enough, they can get closer without having to kind of fail first, that they can hold back, and somehow miraculously, before they actually take action, they will have perfected it just by waiting. And it's kind of absurd when I hear myself talk about it out loud, because it's the way I lived for so many years. And once I really started to understand what perfectionism is and how it shows up in my life, I could start to really understand it and kind of befriend it and learn how to work with it. It is not a bad thing. It is not something that needs to be, X'd out of your world completely. It's just that if you don't understand that it is calling the shots, then in this case, what I'm talking about, getting dressed, just doesn't feel amazing. Today, I want to talk about how perfectionism sabotages your style and what you can do about it. In case we've never met before, thank you for stopping by. I am Kristen from Kristen Kane Style. I am a style and mindset coach. And in case you can't tell, I love the mindset as much as I love the style. I think it is just as intriguing and important to understand the thoughts that you're thinking on repeat, and to recognize the limiting beliefs you might hold around your style and your body and your budget and your closet and your wardrobe and shopping and all the things related to getting dressed. I think that's just as important as learning how to put together a great outfit. So here I coach and teach the way I do with my one-on-one clients. I have a signature program called Style Therapy. If you'd like more information or to hop on a consult call, there is a link down below. When I show up here on YouTube, which I love to do, I love this community, I am coaching and teaching exactly like I would if you were a one-on-one client, because I know that not everyone wants to work with me or has the opportunity to work with me. And so I want to deliver here that same coaching that you would get if we were working one-on-one. So perfectionism has been a part of so many of my recent clients' struggles. And it has been a part of my life, my entire life. And over the last 4 or 5 years, I have really started to recognize and thankfully be coached myself on how to work with my perfectionism so that I can get things done and really, truly accomplish and create the reality that I want to live in spite of the perfectionism, or working with the perfectionism. So I am focusing, not in every single video, but I am calling attention to the way perfectionism holds women back, because that is what I see in my work with my one-on-one clients. And perfectionism can be especially tricky because it kind of masquerades as a positive trait. We think that striving for perfection means that we just have incredibly high standards and that we like things to be done a certain way. And so we have possibly lived much of our lives, if we've recognized perfectionism in our existence at all, we have lived believing that it's a good thing, or the rest of the world kind of looks at it as a good thing because those are the women whose homes are clean and who have all their Christmas presents wrapped in October and whose outfits head to toe always look impeccable. And yet it really is, it's not a bad thing, but it's not really a good thing to be striving for perfection, because there's kind of no such thing. And we're setting ourselves up for disappointment, and it just adds to more stress and more overwhelm when we have this idea that perfection is something we should be striving for. I believe that that's just kind of the first place to start and let go of that. First, let's look kind of at a definition of perfectionism, not a dictionary definition, just sort of how I perceive perfectionism and how most women I work with perceive perfectionism. And that is, it's sort of this standard that you set for yourself. And when you fall short, as you inevitably will, because perfection is kind of unattainable, then, or it's not sustainable. If you can attain it once, you can't sustain it long term. Then you feel this horrible sense of disappointment and of failure. So there are some common kind of characteristics or traits of perfectionists. One of those would be obsessing about the details, really truly getting stuck on a detail, specifically with an outfit or with shopping or with packing for a trip, really truly getting stuck on the details. The next would be fear of judgment, really being concerned about whether someone is judging you, or fear of making a mistake, that kind of underlying feeling of fear that you're going to do it wrong. Another trait would be avoiding decisions, kind of not making decisions for fear of making the wrong decision. And then another trait would be comparing yourself to others. I see a lot of this in my clients where they have this sense of, well, if I could just dress like her, and I can't, therefore I can't ever get it right and I can't ever be satisfied with my own wardrobe. And perfectionism can be especially tricky because we sometimes believe that those traits and perfectionism in general is a positive thing because it allows us to keep our standards really high and to have this goal that we believe is going to create happiness or positivity in our wardrobe, that we're finally going to look and feel put together once we get it right. And that is damaging and difficult to sustain, even if once in a while we get an outfit that feels exactly right. If we're striving for perfection, it usually falls short. Perfectionism can manifest in different ways when you go to get dressed. And this is, as I said, a topic that I have now been deeply enmeshed in and involved in, both with my clients and myself, for many years. And so it's something that I would need like a master class, days long, like a retreat, all about perfectionism and style, which actually sounds kind of fun for me. I don't know if it would be fun for anyone else. And so I'm just going to kind of touch on things, and then there will be other videos. I have past videos on perfectionism and style. There will be other upcoming videos where I will get into kind of the specifics of different areas that I mention a little deeper. But for today, this is kind of just an overview of the ways that perfectionism can show up in your style and kind of what you can do about it to begin to get ahead of it. So I'm just going to kind of read down a list of examples of perfectionism in style. Overthinking every outfit. This I see so often with clients, where there's this idea that there is a right way to wear a combination and anything else is wrong if they can't get it exactly right, that there isn't any flexibility or any room for wiggle. It's really, truly, the outfit has to be head to toe exactly right. And if it's not, it's a failure. So that's one of the ways I see it show up, where there's just this constant sense of worry and obsessing over, is every piece of this outfit, does it all actually work in a way that feels perfect? The other way perfectionism shows up in style is that nothing is ever good enough. That you might shop and constantly be looking at, a specific piece, looking for a pair of jeans, looking for a white t-shirt, and you never actually purchase one because you can't ever find the exact perfect one that's going to solve all of your style struggles. And you don't know, the trouble isn't that, and it's not, maybe you buy every white t-shirt you see. The trouble is what's happening in your brain that's making you wrong, either for coming home from the mall again without a white t-shirt, or for buying yet again another white t-shirt that isn't exactly perfect. Neither one of those things is actually the problem. The problem is the thinking that you're having. It's the fact that you feel like a failure when you come home from the mall without a white t-shirt, or you scold yourself because you yet again have purchased another white t-shirt. Perfectionism hides underneath there, and it causes this mental chatter and this, unkind thinking to ourselves that really gets in the way and is what is actually keeping us stuck. It is not that there isn't a white t-shirt out there that would work for you and allow you to put together all sorts of great outfits. It's that there is so much noise in your brain that you can't get to the white t-shirt that actually would work. It can show up as a fear of taking risks, so that you are truly afraid to buy the white t-shirt. You're afraid to, this is a new brand for me. It's a new fabric. It's a new cut, a new shape. It's a new price point. I'm afraid to take the risk, so I just keep waiting. It can also show up as kind of a frozenness when shopping, that it's just too overwhelming. There are entirely too many choices and too many decisions to be made. And so your perfectionism kind of holds you back and shuts you down. So there's this overwhelm and this just complete kind of frozenness, deer in the headlights kind of when you get to the mall or go online or are in a shop, because you just don't know how to begin to make decisions that work with your perfectionism, and you don't understand that there are thoughts that are looping in your brain that really prevent you from ever making a decision you're going to be happy with. That is fundamentally the thing that I feel is most important. Women can look great in 1,000 different options as far as the pieces go and the way they put them together. The problem with having incredible personal style and perfectionism kind of running in the background is that your brain tells you nothing is ever good enough. And so then it's just this constant swirling of thoughts and information and feelings that keeps you stuck, not having a wardrobe that you love wearing and not exactly sure what to do about it. Perfectionism makes it very difficult to get dressed because you're always focused on what could be better. Whether that's because you're comparing yourself to someone else, whether that's because you have no ability to make a decision when shopping, whether that's because you are always procrastinating, cleaning out your closet. It's just that you always feel like there will be a better time or a better option or a better combination, and you don't allow yourself to kind of see what's working and experiment with things and learn from taking action. You hold back, as I said in the beginning, really believing that if you can just wait long enough, you will ultimately attain the kind of risk-free combos as far as clothing goes, the risk-free outfits that really work for you without actually taking any action to determine which things didn't work. And I find that that is one of the ways that perfectionism holds women back so much in their wardrobe. This idea that you're not striving for perfection. My clients tell me all the time, I'm not a perfectionist. I don't actually care if my outfit's perfect. It's not that you care that your outfit is perfect, it's that you're afraid that your outfit is imperfect. And I know when I say that, when I first heard that idea of that sort of difference in the way that it's viewed, it was very difficult for me to grasp how those two things were different. And yet Brene Brown, who is kind of the grandmother of all things imperfection and perfectionism, she specifically speaks to the fact that perfectionists are not trying to be perfect. They are ashamed that they are not perfect. They are avoiding the shame of being imperfect. And I find that that is exactly what happens in the wardrobe. It's not that women want to look perfect or have this idea of perfection in what they're trying to create in their wardrobe. They are just trying to not get it wrong. And that sense of perfection holds them back and prevents them from taking any action that could lead to an actual wardrobe that they love wearing and better shopping skills and better packing skills and knowing what to wear when an invitation comes in. There is a way to get better at it, but you can't get better at it by just being afraid to do anything. So I want to offer a solution that I believe is one of the quickest, easiest ways to begin to get past perfectionism in your style, and that is simplicity. If you can simplify the entire process of getting dressed, the entire process of shopping and of editing and all the things, your perfectionism doesn't have as much of an opportunity to flare up. You don't have as many choices. You don't have as much noise in your closet when you simplify. And so by simplifying, I don't mean that you can only wear, 3 different options for the rest of the year. I merely mean that if you can begin to pare back and get really clear on how you want to look, simplify what you really like and identify it so that you can see, I actually really only like blue jeans. And yes, I'm speaking somewhat of myself right here. Just the other day, I wore a pair of olive green pants and a white t-shirt and a cream sweater and a pair of sneakers. and I didn't have anything blue on. And to be very honest with you, as absurd as it sounds, I do not feel 100% authentic if my outfit does not have anything blue included. Usually it's blue jeans. I default to blue jeans because I love blue jeans. I have lots of great pairs of Levi's that I've thrifted over the years. And blue jeans are authentic for me. And thankfully in my life, whether with clients or shooting videos or out in the world, I can wear blue jeans most days. When I don't have blue jeans on and I swap them out for a pair of olive green pants, and then I don't have blue anywhere in my outfit, I notice that I don't feel 100% like myself. So that's just an example of simplifying my wardrobe so that it includes the colors that I actually feel best in. Really gets rid of my perfectionism in the sense that when I go into a store, there's no indecision about what I'm buying because I know what colors I love and I know what styles I love and I know what shapes and what brands and what fabrics. So I really truly have simplified the process of shopping because I know my style so well. The same is true of getting dressed. I know what formulas work for me. I know what outfit kind of uniforms I really like to repeat. And so when I get dressed, I'm really just picking from the tops and the pants and a belt and a pair of shoes and socks if it's cold and a sweater if I need a layer or a jacket depending on where I'm going, and everything works together. So by simplifying, we can combat our perfectionism because it quiets some of the other noise about, well, you need all of this because this is on trend or because you're comparing yourself to others and everyone else has one of those, or I don't know what to choose because there are just way too many options and I feel like I should have more pattern and I feel like I should have more red and more pink. If you can pare it back to right now what you actually know you love and what works for you and what works for the life that you live, then you can begin to get dressed and gain style self-trust, which is the thing that I talk about most here and also in my work with clients, because once you have even a seed of style self-trust and you nurture it and it can grow, your wardrobe changes and your relationship with your wardrobe changes forever. Getting dressed becomes effortless and easy and authentic and fun. And that seed of style self-trust is much easier to grow when your perfectionism is quiet, and it's easier for your perfectionism to be quiet when your wardrobe and your outfit combos and your shopping and your packing for trips, when all of that is simplified. You want to focus on clothing that makes you feel good, clothing that lights you up from within. When you put it on, you think, I love this. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if that feeling is completely foreign to you, I'm going to link a video here because I have worked with many women over the years who tell me or told me when we first started to work together that they really genuinely could not identify the feeling of loving a piece of clothing on their body. And so this video will help. When you can feel that feeling, it becomes much easier to quiet the perfectionism because you're no longer striving for something out there that is kind of ideal and unattainable, really. You're getting inside and really paying attention to authentically what lights you up, what feels good against your skin, what colors make you happy. And everyone's answer to this is different. You might be watching this saying, Kristen, I never wear blue jeans. I actually never wear blue. I don't care if there's blue in my closet. Totally great. I don't want you to dress like me. I want you to dress like the best version of you. I want you to authentically understand that if perfectionism has been holding you back with all this idea of I can't make decisions and I'm comparing myself to others and I tend to overthink every outfit and I'm afraid I'm going to make a mistake and I'm afraid somebody's going to judge me, all of that noise, if you can simplify and pay attention to what you actually want to look like when you get dressed, not the perfect you, but the you right now today who needs to put on clothing, and the you 2 months from now who will have done a little more work on her wardrobe. What does she want to look like? How does she want to present herself to the world? Having a wardrobe that is filled with really great basics that you love, not basics that are boring, but basics in the sense that these pieces can be worn in multiple ways. The colors work with everything else that is in your wardrobe. You can add accessories if you want to add some oomph. You can not add accessories if you just want to keep the look really simple and understated, that the foundation pieces work together. And then as you gain style self-trust in that realm where you understand how all the basics, how all those foundation pieces work together, and you have learned the art of I can just mix and match anything, then feel free to add statement pieces and pieces that are a little more dramatic and unusual. But if that's all that's in your wardrobe and you're trying to obtain this idea of the perfect outfit or afraid that you won't have it right when you get dressed, signature and statement pieces just make that more difficult because they're more obvious, because there is a tendency to feel like I could do it wrong. This has so much color. It has so much pattern. It's such an unusual texture. It is such a dramatic fit. I could mess this up. Therefore, I'm not going to wear it. Where if it's a basic t-shirt and jeans, the odds are you're not going to mess it up. And so then you can begin to gain the style self-trust by wearing the more simple pieces and then adding in the flair as you get better at and more confident in wearing the pieces that are more basic. So by simplifying, you start to take away the power that perfectionism maybe has had on you if what you've been doing is buying things that are a little more trendy, buying one-off pieces that you don't really know what to wear with, having lots of color in your wardrobe that doesn't actually feel authentic and you don't know what to wear with what because the colors and the patterns aren't easily put together. I don't want anyone to feel like this needs to be dull or boring or not self-expressive. It's actually quite the opposite when you have these core pieces that allow you to experiment with them without the risk of having it be messed up. And again, I don't really believe that that's possible. I've seen so many outfits out there that on paper shouldn't actually work, and yet they're incredible. And so it's not a matter of making sure that the pieces you're putting together from a stylist standpoint will work. It's that they work for you. That you understand that actually works for you and you've stopped comparing and you've stopped overthinking and you've stopped stressing about what anyone else will think when you walk into work or walk into church and you just fundamentally wear what you love. That is easier when your wardrobe is simple. For today, I'm going to end there. I'm going to leave you just with the idea that if you tend to overthink your outfit and you tend to have a hard time making decisions when you shop and you feel very overwhelmed by the contents of your closet, but you procrastinate actually doing anything about it. If you tend to be afraid that others are going to judge you or that you are comparing yourself to people on the internet or people in your neighborhood, understand that if you can simplify your style, simplify what's in your closet, simplify the pieces that you have and the pieces that you wear, even if you're not going to edit anything out and get rid of anything, pull together a collection, a little capsule within your wardrobe of pieces that are simple, that you know work for you, and start to play around with those, start to experiment with those. That is easier for your perfectionistic brain because you're taking out all the patterns and the colors and all the excess accessories, and you are allowing the simple building blocks of your wardrobe to begin to show you that you know how to do this, you can get better at it with practice, that there really is no risk. And as you begin to learn that, the perfectionism will not be as noisy and you will be much better equipped to then go into a store with the style self-trust so that when you want to buy a trendy piece or you want to buy a statement piece or something that is more extravagant and not even from a price standpoint, just from a visual standpoint, you will trust yourself to do that, and your perfectionism will have quieted enough that you won't hesitate. You will feel confident actually making that decision. I would love to know how simple your wardrobe is, what you believe about simplicity, what you believe about perfectionism, because I know, as I've said, that so many women, when we first start to work together inside style therapy, they tell me I'm not a perfectionist. And yet so quickly, and I'm not trying to make anyone a perfectionist. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other. I speak about this here because I see it so often that I know it is an issue. And so what's most personal is most universal. So I know that if my clients are dealing with this, there are other women out there who are likely having this same struggle with trying to understand how they're feeling so stuck and what's in the way and why they can't overcome it on their own. And perfectionism, I find, is one of the things that's at the root. So I will continue talking about this because it is so near and dear to my heart. I am over on Instagram. If you don't already follow me over there, I would love to have you come join me. I share kind of behind the scenes situations. And I also talk about things that are not maybe needing a full YouTube video, but questions that come up, and I answer questions. If you want to DM me a question over there, I will absolutely answer it on stories at Kristen Kane Style for Instagram. And yeah, come join me over there. If you would like to work with me one-on-one, style therapy is how we do that. It is a comprehensive program that will absolutely change your relationship with your wardrobe and your style and yourself. I just have done this work for so long that I know without a doubt it is a process that works, and I would love to work with you, or at least see if we're a good fit. There is a link for a consult down below, and we can hop on a Zoom call and chat about all things style therapy. And as I said, if you feel that you really truly just don't love anything in your closet and you can't even actually remember what it feels like to love something when you put it on your body, watch this video next. Thanks so much for being here. Have a really beautiful week. I'll see you next Friday.